Okay, kind of wonky way to start off a video, but kind of hit record right when I was about to look back to reverse my car because I'm leaving from work late. Um, got some more overtime in. Got like this build started at the end of the day. I was assigned two of them, but couldn't do the second because with the way things are done here, you got to have someone there to verify you. And truth be told, I kind of almost got in trouble, if you will, for starting that build, the one that I just got done, because my build partner decided to dip. I mean, it was the end of the day, end of the week. I mean, I understand to a certain extent, but he was assigned to work with me. I don't know if he was ticked off me about something or other because there was a bit of misunderstanding earlier in the day. Due to, it was like this whole thing where while I was going to use the restroom, I got switched out from working with this other person to working with this guy, and I didn't have access to the Google Drive on my phone. I couldn't see on my phone, so didn't know to Slack him to send him a message saying, "Hey, I'm just using the restroom. I'll be out in a few minutes." Blah blah blah. I did Slack her, but she did not relay that information to him, so he was kind of ticked off. I was looking for you. Where were you? And I was just like, "Oh, I wouldn't use the restroom." Maybe he was holding that against me the whole day. I don't know, but he left, and luckily one of the senior associates, manufacturing associates, stepped in and, was like, "Hey, don't do X, Y, Z, that, you can get into a lot of trouble if someone were to, see you doing that, see you, doing a build on your own, or et cetera, et cetera." And then he decided to basically stay along and help me get things going. But the only thing I'm concerned about is there are folks like that who they take this sort of big brother or almost like father figure role, and they're understanding okay, this guy's new here, he's only been here for a few months, he didn't know this, nobody's told him about that or whatever the case may be. And they'll make sure that not that they're gonna necessarily yell at you or so, but they'll make sure that you're aware what's going on. And I wish I could have my light on my car, but I think there's some law against that kind of thing if you're doing that while you're driving. But anyways, back on topic. Anyways, so I'm not really concerned about him quote unquote narking on me to the boss, but there are other people on the team, and some of them, the personalities are kind of like that. They might have something out for you, or it just might be their sort of personality of mommy, or daddy, Bobby did blah blah blah, sort of a thing, and that's just how they are. And they don't really understand sort of the proper way to deal with situations like that, where it's okay, this person's new, let them know. They do a second or third time, then okay, there's an issue, but that sort of deal. And the other person I'd be concerned about sort of that sort of stuff going down with would be that female coworker, the one who I talked about a few videos ago, the somewhat attractive one who then became unattractive to me because she started reminding me of my sister. And that kind of creeped me out. And then on top of that, she sort of started acting in ways that were kind of annoying to me, personality-wise. I mean, I had to sort of bite my tongue several times. It's just where I kind of raised my voice a bit. I was kind of what? Because I thought she was being kind of smarmy with me, but I wasn't going to go and, start going ape, crazy, so to speak. But, yeah, that wasn't today. That was last week. There was either last week or earlier this week, but nothing really happened from it. But I could kind of see her doing that sort of stuff. And I even kind of, I maybe this is dumb, but I kind of joked with her about that because like we have one-on-ones with our supervisor every week, and we kind of joked that the supervisor is kind of always looking for juicy little tidbits. Do you have any conflict with your coworkers? Did you have a fight with any of them? They say anything? Is there anything going on? And if you're just like, no, everything's cool. Yeah, I'm getting along with everybody. It's kind of like she'll be like, almost like, aw, I wanted some team drama. And we kind of joked that, what if it was like, well, so and so, they said this, and they hit me right in my heart, and all that sort of stuff. Pretending like somebody had really offended you or so, just so that she would feel like supervisor would feel like okay, time for me to get involved. Finally some juicy little tidbit of workplace gossip, sort of a thing. And I would be concerned that she would actually do that, just because she's at that age. We're not talking to somebody who's a little bit older and a little more mature. We're talking about somebody who's in their 20s, and so stuff like that does sit in the back of my head and sort of run around there. It's her and like that other guy who, when I talked about who I had some issues with earlier in the day. Folks like that, they're on every team out there, every team and every workplace where it's like they'll take things super personally. They want to rush everything, and if you're not going at their pace, they get ticked off. And boss man, or boss lady, Bobby did this or said that, and it's like, it's almost like, is this middle school again, or is this high school again? Or, given that it seems like these days adolescence keeps on getting extended, is this college 2.0, or is this high school 2.0 or 3.0? You get that sort of vibe, but you kind of got to keep that stuff in the back of your head, and I guess minimize the chances for grudges to form with some people who tend to want to hold grudges and take things way too seriously. Obviously, there's certain things that do need to be taken seriously, like that situation that the senior associate, manufacturing associate, pointed out to me today and helped me out with. I get that sort of stuff. Other things is just kind of like, okay, like, as long as nobody's getting hurt, work's getting done, up to spec, we're making our money, like, and nothing else is happening, no one's getting anybody else's face, there isn't any, like, harassment going on in any form or another, sexual or non-sexual, whatever, that kind of stuff is like, that's like the sort of the baseline for me. Like I said to my supervisor before, like, I'm not looking for some dream job, as long as I'm basically not dealing with hostile coworkers, or I'm not in a hostile work environment, I'm making my money, doing purposeful work, like I'm cool, I'm good, I'm not really asking for much, because I'm just not expecting that much from work. I'm not expecting work to be the end all be all. It's a means to an end, and I didn't say, I didn't say that part. That's kind of like the quiet part. You think to yourself, like, okay, I'm just here to get that means to the ends that I am aiming for, whatever that is, whether it's getting out of debt, going on vacation, buying land, buying a house, supporting a family, buying nice things that you want. You don't say that part, but that's basically like, at least in my mind, or in my eyes, that's kind of like what work is really there for. It's not there to truly fulfill you per se. It can be, and it definitely helps. Like if you're working at, like, let's say a company that makes makes therapeutics for people who suffer from a certain, disease or disorder, that makes their lives easier. And it's like, okay, that kind of work can be fulfilling, especially if you're in the research and development side, so you can find some level of fulfillment, but really, like, going into any work environment and saying, like, oh, I want this to be this dream job where I'm just waking up with a smile on my face every day, and nothing ever goes wrong, or nothing's ever bad or stressful, or I'll be the next fill in the blank celebrity figure because I worked at this company or something like that, and I'll have this perfect life or whatever. Like, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, frustration, and ultimately failure. But beyond that, so I did pull a bunch of overtime this week. Got about I think it was 57 and a half hours, so like a 17 and a half hours of overtime. And assuming I do something similar next week, I'll be hopefully looking at a really fat paycheck, which means I can either help out my folks, send them some cash, or I could basically just focus in on getting caught up on some other of these debt payment type stuff or things, basically, because due to having to pay for that class plus having to pay for an old speeding ticket from like last year, I haven't been able to make the size of payments that I wanted to make on the student loan that I'm working on right now. So I think I'd be about a month and a half behind, unless I'm able to somehow make enough extra cash that I can sort of make a large enough payment like this time or next time, such that it would sort of count for those missing dollar bills, so to speak, that I would have been sending over. Or maybe I could do both. When I get home, I want to sort of look into. Well, I mean, I gotta get some stuff submitted for class. I know I got the homework done way back on like Tuesday night, but just kind of was dealing with some other things, some work related, some related to I don't know, maybe feeling a bit burned out, or just trying to figure out how to get myself on track with the class and all that sort of stuff, especially after that quiz. But anyways, I gotta submit that homework, which essentially the way it works for me is I'll do the homework, I write it out. Since I'm writing it typically in pen on those pieces of printer paper, I end up going through like several iterations. Sometimes I have to throw away paper if I made too many mistakes, or I had to sort of work things out. Then I go and rewrite it in a clean and concise format without all the extra sort of scribbling, so to speak. Make it clean and concise and legible. And then I'll take photos of that on my phone using the Cam Scanner app, convert that to a PDF, and then I can go and submit that at the, it's called Gradescope. It's this, basically it's like a website for doing that sort of stuff, where you can basically upload the PDF and then associate the different questions with different pages of the document. So I'll have to do that. But after that, I want to essentially do sort of a bit of a math problem and see like, okay, the next 2 weeks, if I stick to a certain plan in terms of like expenses, would I be able to send over, $100 or $200 to my dad, that sort of thing. And I mean, I think 200 is pretty much the bare minimum for me, because to send over, because that's at least substantial enough. $100 doesn't really do much. 200 would help. Obviously, if I could, just toss 500 or 1,000, their way, like that would really, like alleviate a lot of pressure off my dad's shoulders, especially with the fact that he he's been in the hospital. He was a brain bleed, and that was a result of high levels of stress relating to finances and his job work. And then obviously, I've gone in to it enough. I think I uploaded like 4 or 5 videos talking about just stuff going on in my family, did all of that. And if I can even send over a couple $100 every couple of weeks, or if I can get to the point of sending over 500 or 1,000, I think it would really help. And it's something that I want to do. I know I'm not under any legal obligation, and my dad has told me, I want you to take care of yourself first. I want you to take care of your stuff. You got these student loans, you got that car loan. Take care of that. Make sure that's taken care of first and foremost. Because in a lot of ways, so much of my dad's concerns and stresses and even my life and all that could be summed up in terms of this pursuit of self-sufficiency and independence. Because once I had graduated and gotten that job and was well established in there, that first job, it was kind of like with my dad, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief and not have to worry about things. For instance, when I got on track to graduate in college, it was that, just hearing that was great news. Saying to him, at this point, Dad, I've gotten through all these classes, I'm dead set on graduating, a year from now. Obviously there were some hiccups and there were some near misses along the way, but I guess I made the right decision in certain cases, such that I was able to squeak by, so to speak. But once I graduated, once I got that job, it was okay, that thing's settled. He's settled. As long as he just does his due diligence, he'll handle it. And my dad doesn't have to think about that and worry and stress about that. And so it's that's why it's important for me to be doing that. And I wish my sister could do that. I know that with the circumstances she's facing, it's significantly harder than it would be for someone who was 100% healthy. So it's kind of you gotta take that into consideration and be reasonable and understanding. Which obviously doesn't mean becoming a total pushover or a doormat, but so my dad would want me to take care of things on my end first and foremost, which is what I've gone and done. I already set up all my bills to pay for a bunch of stuff, and I did that around 5:30 in the morning or something like that. So I got those out of the way, and now once I get my homework submitted, I can go and run that certain math problem and see how much I can send over. And I just I feel like it'll make me feel better, I guess you could say, about myself, being able to say I was able to help out a bit here or there, that sort of thing. Because I got this from this article. I should probably go and find it, but it's something that kind of would come up again and again in my mind at different times. I read this a long time ago, but it was this article about why being nice really doesn't count for much, or why it doesn't have that kind of value that people will want it to have. And this is not written from some sort of quote unquote red pill perspective. I think it was on Cracked.com, which I don't know which way they lean, whether it comes to politics or cultural issues or whatever, but it's just sort of this example they gave of you have someone who's who's got a gunshot wound, and it's kind of if you have someone that has a gunshot wound, they're laying there on the ground, they're bleeding out, and you got their friend or their family, whoever, or their battle buddy next to them, doing whatever he or she can to staunch the bleeding, and they're yelling out, medic, medic, it's like, you running up there and be like, oh, I'm a nice guy. It's like, what the heck is that going to do? It's not going to do anything. Now, if you're a medic who happens to be, as known as a very nice person, well, the fact that you're a medic is what will have value. And, okay, you'll be able to do something for that person who's got that gunshot wound, maybe even save their life, And the fact that you're nice, well, okay, that's a little bit of, that's an added sort of, benefit. But what really is the thing that, makes the difference, even in that case, is not that you're nice. It's that you have an actual skill. You can actually do something about, a real problem. And, that's sort of the deal with, like, me. Look, I might not want to be or be capable of being some sort of shoulder to cry on, because I just maybe it's the things I've been through or seen, maybe it's what I've read, maybe it's just, I don't know, all those things kind of together and influencing me into becoming who I am right now. But I'm not really one for that when it comes to problems, whether it's in the family or it's elsewhere. It's like, I don't want to talk about it necessarily. I will talk about it to a certain extent, but it's sort of like in chunks, in bits of time. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Sometimes it's even half an hour long. But after all the talking is done, I'm like, okay, we're done the talking. Not going to keep talking about this. We're going to go do something about it. Here's the plan, And maybe along the way as I'm executing the plan, there will be some talking, some communication, Like I may vent on this channel sometimes, or I may, ping people back and forth, via... that was a bit awkward there, but anyways, via videos or comments, but ultimately I'm still trying to actually do concrete work. And while I may be living all the distance away from my family, and it may seem like I don't care, to them, because I'm not being the shoulder to cry on, it's sort of like, when it comes down to it, the real work, the real stuff that will have an actual effect, is stuff that, I suppose from a certain angle seems, like it doesn't have value, I'm not here to go reflect their emotions back to them. If the problem is, money, or it's debt, or it's, something of that nature, like, okay, I'm going to do something about that, and I'll take care of that. And, doing that kind of stuff is the actual hard work, and maybe they can't see that, they can't value that, because, it's almost like you only learn the value of money, for instance, when you actually have to work for it, Because if I were to, look at, my paycheck, let's say, my latest paycheck, and look at those hours, it's like those are hours of my life. And I know I think I did talk about this in another video, almost having, deja vu. But it's like hours of my life that I gave up in order to get those dollar bills that, I could do something with. And unless you have to do that yourself, even if it's something as simple as mowing a lawn for, 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks, out there in the burning hot sun, when you'd probably much rather be chilling inside, in an air-conditioned room, I don't know, sipping a soda or a pop, or, lemonade or whatever. Or if you're down for that, a cold brew or whatever, going out there and you're exerting yourself, and here's the money you got in exchange for that. And it's not just money, and money doesn't matter. Money's not important. Let's not be materialistic. It's not that. It's the fact that you gave up something, your time on this earth, which is a finite resource that you don't get, you don't get that renewed. You can't go and renew the amount of time you're going to have on this earth. You get your allotted time, and you do with it what you will. And if you're giving up that, to make some money, by working, let's say, then that's really what that value is to you. That's the kind of value it has. And that's a bit of your life there. So if I'm sending money to help my family, it's kind of like I'm, metaphorically giving them some of my life. And it's something that like my dad once talked about. I think he was referring to, it wasn't an Eric Clapton song, it was Peter Frampton. I think it was Peter Frampton. And it was this whole like, I think it was a song where he's like, give a little bit of my life to you. He was talking about that. That was, I think there was a refrain for the song, but, he talked about that, and in this sort of sense, he was almost giving me a bit of a life lesson, or almost a red pill lesson, because he was talking about how, like, when he would go and do things for my mom or my sister or myself, even if it was just in terms of money, it was like, in some sense, he was giving up some of his life for us, and he started teaching me about, how to value things. And now that I'm in this position, where I'm at, where I'm having to hold down a job, deal with coworkers, deal with finances and debt, handle any like health issues I might have, well enough that I at the very least don't become a burden on somebody else, that I'm more of an asset than a liability. I'm seeing a lot of these life lessons, and again, it's almost like there are songs out there where my dad would have me listen to them from like from his day and age, where they had a lot of that sort of stuff to them, and I get more out of them now, but at the same time I almost can't listen to them because I'll get all emotional, in part because I'll think like, man, my dad was trying to teach me all this stuff and I didn't want to friggin' listen, I thought I knew better, or oh, that's corny, or whatever the case may be. And then you get older and life kind of reminds you of those things. So anyways, almost home, and I hope that guy actually stops. Okay, yeah, it looks like he stops. It was one of those things when you're like trying to gauge how close somebody is to you in a car, and you're looking through looking at them through the mirror, and you're just hoping they see that you're braking and they brake in time. Last thing I need is some collusion. But yeah, just getting off the exit. I'm gonna go try and find a spot. I hope that there's some spot free near my house, because I don't want to have to like go and drive like 3 or 4 roads down just to find some spot, especially in sort of a sketch neighborhood like where I live. Because I don't know if I've mentioned this in some other video, but like I think it was how long ago was it? It wasn't a few weeks. I think it was a few months ago. There was some big like shooting, probably gang related, just a street over from where I live, and that guy just ran a red light. He just took off. Anyways, yeah, there was that shooting, and it's kind of, when you hear about that, or the house across the street gets raided by the popos, it kind of makes you a little bit aware of like, oh, I'm actually in a sketch neighborhood, huh? That's odd. Or it's like, oh, I'm living in a war zone. Well, that's new, which in some sense it isn't new. Kind of knew about that for a while, but it's sort of like, is this guy? Oh, jeez. Man, why I always gotta have somebody like that behind me? Crying out loud. Come on, people. See me back and forth. Anyways, I did see a spot over there. I don't know where I usually park. find that spot and set her down. There we go. Actually, I think this is the exact spot I parked at last night. I don't know. It's like if you get back to this area like past like 6:30, it can get kind of difficult to find parking spots on the street because just how it is. I mean, there's not really a lot of like driveway space for most people, and so you have all these folks parking on the street, and if it's after that whole end of the work day, they're usually back here. But anywho, let's see. It's a me. Anyways, yeah, it's half an hour long, and I don't really have much more to say. I'm just gonna go take care of those things I need to take care of, and I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.